before we go into deep about this topic today, why not we go? We will see the histories of this, how this actually actuator had been invented lah. So first actuator is actually invented on years 1938 during World War II, masa perang-perang dulu. And then this uncle here, you can see the name here, Zita Eckelman. Oh man, the name. Berlilit lidah kita, berkulut-kulut. So this uncle here, he's the one who invented the first pneumatic actuator during at the years of 1938 lah. So during that time, they already invented car lah, of course lah. Sebab macam kereta kebal macam tu, they already invented. The problem is that there is a problem regarding on the brake of the car. So at that periods of time, they using brake like bukan macam sekarang. Sebab now we using macam hydraulic punya brake kan. Tapi masa tu dia orang pakai brake pakai kabel punya. As we can see in our cars, macam handbrake lah. Kereta macam handbrake. So there is a big problem regarding on wear and tear. Cepat saja dia punya bed brake tu rosak. The problem dia macam panggil uncle. He's a abang Zika. So the problem is that dia punya brake tu cepat. Kita pasang hari ni dan besok rosak, kena ganti. So during that period, the person who supply this brake pad is actually billionaire. Sebab dia jual mahal lah. Dia jual beli, orang beli macam tu lah. No lah. Itu bukan fact tu. Main-main punya. Okay. So to improve the car brake, and then this Zika here, one of the physicists lah, if I'm not mistaken. So he invented the pneumatic actuator, and then they use the pneumatic cylinder. They install it inside the brake system, and then they improve the car brakes lah. Okay, and not until 1979 there is another what we call engineer lah. There is another engineer who invented the electric actuator. He's actually engineer / businessman. So businessman, he owned a company called here, as you can see the point here, Linux company. So dia punya tujuan tu, the first time dia invented ini electric linear actuator ni just to improve his friend punya wheelchair. Just to improve. How he improved, I don't know, because I couldn't find this anywhere in the internet, and I'm quite stressed about this also before, because I tried to find but I couldn't find until one morning saya jadi stress. No lah. Okay, so he wanted to improve his friend wheelchair, and then accidentally he invented the electric linear actuator on 1978. Okay, and then until then the electric linear actuator become the main products of Linux company lah, which is owned by this Ben Johnson, one of the millionaire lah here. Okay, so enough for the story. So the main point is that what is the actuator? So first we want to know what is the actuator. Through the internet, I found many definitions regarding this actuator. The first is that there is a definition saying that a parts of actuator is a parts of the device or machines that help it to achieve physical movement by converting energy. This is says by Barber on his paper on 1997. Okay, and there is a second definition saying that actuator is actually a device that produces motions by converting energy and signal going into the system. The motions it produces can be either rotary or linear. So this is saying by this abang here, Sotode, on the year 2021 in his paper. You can find this paper in Science Direct lah. And there is a third definition that I found in the internet. Actuator is an actuator is a device that uses a forms of power to convert a control signal into mechanical motions. This is says by Parr in his paper on 2011. So, but all of these definitions, as you can see, is actually they explaining the same thing, which is the actuator is actually converting an energy, which means there is an input going into the actuator, and the actuator is actually converting the energy into some kind of output, which is the output must be motions. Okay. As what we know before from the definition, so there is an input in here. The first input should be energy lah, and then the second input is a signal. Okay, so there is two input going inside the actuator, and then the actuator will convert this energy to produce an output which is motions. Okay, so for example, the input, for example, compressed air, which is 5 bar in pressure lah, 5 bar in pressure. So the energy is kinetic energy, because compressed air, the movements, the compressed air, the movements of the particle inside the compressed air is actually categorized as a kinetic energy. So the energy is the energy in this input is actually kinetic energy, and then the signal is actually air pressure, 5 bar. So in the sense that if we input a compressed air, for example 4 bar, the actuator might not work because the required signal is 5 bar. Macam begitu. Okay. So another example, for example, an input is a current with a voltage of 415 voltage AC current lah. So dia punya energy is electric energy. Ya, kita tahu current ni dia electric energy. And then the signal is actually voltage of 415. Yeah. So even though we supply energy of electric energy, but with the wrong voltage, for example, dia punya voltage 380 VAC. So the actuator might not work because dia tiada dia punya signal. The signal is out of the range. Macam tu lah. So there must be an energy, the correct energy with the correct signal. Only that the actuator will work. Okay. So that's only an example lah. So we'll discuss more on the next slide. So for example, this one. Okay. So this is actually a valve with an actuator. Okay. As you can see in here, there is an air pressure, compressed air in here. Go to inside the pressure. Go to inside the actuator here. And then, as you can see, when the pressure reached 5 bar, the spring here started to work. It means that the signal required by this actuator is actually 5 bar, and the energy is kinetic energy supplied by this air pressure. Okay, so bila energy supply from the air pressure, okay, the signal is 5 bar. This spring here will convert the kinetic energy into mechanical energy. Okay, so Wai Chong asked, what happens if the input supply is too high? Okay, too high, it's depending on the actuator, how the actuator adjusting lah. Yeah, so every actuator is actually they have some kinds of range. So either the actuator work depending on how the actuator adjusting, or the actuator meletup, probably, maybe. Macam tu lah. Okay. So macam ni. And then the next one here, this is actually a solenoid valve. So solenoid valve here, the black part yang hitam ni is actually an actuator. So dia supply kalau kita tutup switch ni, kita akan supply current masuk dalam. And then with the signal, of course with a certain voltage lah. So probably 24 volt. Kita supply the 24 volt di sini. With the right signal, right energy, and then the actuator will work. Okay, macam yang kita tahu sebelum ni. So macam mana dia convert energy into a linear motion is actually by the coil here, from the coil here. So the electric energy with the right voltage will go to the actuator in here, and then the coil will convert the electric energy into a mechanical energy in here. The movement causes the movements of linear lah, up and down. Okay, so that is the example. We go to the next slide. So there are many types of actuator, but the big ones of classifications kan, they are 4 lah. Ada 4 yang paling besar dia punya classification. So first one is a hydraulic actuator. Second is pneumatic actuator. Third, mechanical actuator. Fourth, electric actuator. We discuss one more. Okay. So for hydraulic actuator punya working principle. Working principle dia senang saja. Hydraulic system are used to control and transmit power. Okay. A pump driven by a prime mover, electric motor creates a flow of fluid, and hydraulic actuator consists of two type of system lah, single acting and double acting. So there are 2 type. Under hydraulic actuator, there are 2 type. Linear actuator, which is using the hydraulic cylinder punya concept, provide motion in a straight line. So in second one is a rotary actuator, motor hydraulic, produce continuous rotational motions. Pump shaft is rotated to generate flow. Okay, so first we look into linear actuator. So this is a linear actuator. They're using a cylinder as a prime mover lah. How it's work? Dia macam begini. Okay, dia macam begini. A compressed hydraulic oil, of course lah, because hydraulic actuator kan. Compressed hydraulic oil will go inside here. Okay, at certain bar punya, and then the piston here will convert the movement, will convert the energy from kinetic energy to mechanical energy, which is in linear motion. Dia macam ni lah. Okay, so this is example of hydraulic cylinder. This is how hydraulic cylinder punya working principle. And then the second one, motor hydraulic. So this is a motor hydraulic. This is how it's work. Okay, same as before, only that there is also there is a piston. There is a piston here, and there is high pressure outlet and low pressure inlet. Okay, so the low pressures of hydraulic oil will enter in here, and then the piston will convert this movement into rotary movement, from kinetic energy to mechanical energy, but into rotary. Just now in here into linear motions, but this one to rotary motions. Okay, same concept, only different output lah. Okay, and the second one is pneumatic actuator working principle. So this pneumatic actuator pneumatic actuator is actually convert energy form by compressed air at high pressure into either linear or rotary motion. Almost similar with the hydraulic actuator, only is that the medium is different, because pneumatic actuator using compressed air, while the hydraulic actuator using hydraulic oil. Okay, so compared to hydraulic actuator and other actuator, pneumatic actuator quick response. Yeah, and then same with hydraulic actuators also. They have a single and double acting. Okay, so this is a double acting for pneumatic actuator, and this is a single acting. So fluid, but the fluid for pneumatic actuator in here lah, for fluid is actually air lah, compressed air for pneumatic. But for hydraulic must be hydraulic oil. Same with this one. The fluid from here, for if we say this is a pneumatic actuator, then the fluid must be air compressed lah, compressed air. But if we're saying that this single acting actuator here is a hydraulic actuator, then the fluid here must be hydraulic oil. Double acting, single acting. This is how it's work lah. So everyone can see, right? Okay, moving something, and there is a spring here. So single acting, there is a spring. Double acting, no spring. Got piston, same, also same, but there is a spring. For single acting, the inlet here also become outlet. But for double acting, the inlet is the inlet. No. Yeah, there is a 2 port for double acting, but for single acting, there's only 1 port. Okay. Okay, next slide. So we go to the mechanical actuator. Mechanical actuator working principle is one kinds of motions, such as rotary motions, converting. Mechanical actuator is mainly converting motions only. Yeah, They are not using any kinds of other energy convert into other energy. No, mechanical actuator only converting of motions. For example, rotary motions, you will convert into linear motions. Linear motions convert into rotary motion, or probably rotary motions, but in a vertical angle converted into horizontal angle. Yeah. So that's how the mechanical actuator working principle lah. And the operations of mechanical actuator is based on combinations of structural components such as gears and rails, or pulley and chain. So this is the example. Okay, guys. Yeah. So this is the example. So as you can see here, there is a hand wheel in here. You can see the hand wheel is a rotary motions, and then the gearbox will convert the motions from rotary into linear motions, because once we rotate this hand wheel, the gate here will go upward. Yeah. So the gate go upward is actually a linear motions. Up and down is actually a linear motions. But the hand wheel here, movements of the hand wheel is actually a rotary. So the example number 1 is actually the conversions of rotary motions to linear motions. And example number 2 here, as you can see, this hand wheel rotates in a vertical degree lah, 90 degree. In a vertical plane. In the vertical plane. While it's convert into, when we rotate actually this hand wheel, the rotations will convert into horizontal motion, horizontal rotations. Yeah. You will rotate horizontally. This one will rotate vertically. So there are two types. Convert motion from rotary into linear, or linear to rotary also can. And the second one is the angles of the movement. Movement same, but the angles change. Okay, that's for the mechanical actuator. And then for the last one is electric actuator. Electric actuator working principle is pretty straightforward lah, because electric actuator, of course lah, using electric, so convert electric signal into rotary or linear movement. But for electric actuator, actually it doesn't have like single or double acting lah. Only one types of electric actuator. When it said electric actuator, then it's electric actuator. But it has another type. For example, number 1 here, electromechanical actuator. Okay, electromechanical actuator where the control knobs or handle had been replaced by electric motor. Okay, easy to understand in here. As you can see in here, in this valve, they're using a hand wheel. But if we replace this, if we modify this, if we change this to electric actuator, then we can replace this hand wheel using a motor. Ya, macam tu lah. Itulah yang dia cuba bagi tahu. Same goes with this one lah. Yeah, they replace this one into electric motor. Then it's become, if we replace this hand wheel to electric motor, then it's become electromechanical actuator number 1. Okay, so the second types of electric actuator is actually electrohydraulic actuator. Electrohydraulic actuator is an electric motor rotates clockwise, turning gears that pressurize the hydraulic fluid. Bulbs open to draw fluid from the reservoir and head side, and also control delivery to extend. For sections, the motor runs counterclockwise, reversing the operations. Okay, this can be explained on the next slide. Okay, so first we go to electromechanical actuator. This is examples of electromechanical actuator, but they install a motor here. This one is actually a motor, but they also install I think it's a backup hand wheel in here lah, in case if the electric motor terbakar ke, rosak ke, so there is a backup in here, because actually the functions of this hand wheel is already taken by the motor in here. So the motor will rotate, and then this gearbox here will convert the rotations from rotary to linear motions in here inside. So this is called as electromechanical actuator. Okay, if you want to see more examples about this actuator, you can always go to Turcomp BMB Turcomp website, and there are many types of actuator in there. You can see, and you can download the data sheets if I'm not mistaken, and also drawings, and you can refer more lah from there. Okay, so this is the examples of electrohydraulic electrohydraulic actuator. Okay, guys. Okay, so this is examples of electrohydraulic actuator. Okay, there is a motor in here. The motor will control the inlets and the outlets of the fluid, as you can see. Yeah, the inlets and the outlets of the fluid. So once the motor is rotated, for example, it's rotated clockwise, the flow will, there's an orange flow in here, if you can see. The orange flow will activate. The orange flow will activate, and then this this cylinder will go upward. Dia akan maju upward. But if the motor here reverse, and then the red one will activate, and then this cylinder will go downward. Dia macam tu. Dia rotate, naik, reverse, turun lagi balik, rotate, naik, reverse, turun balik. Dia macam tu lah. So the electric motors actually control the fluid flow. Yeah, they control the fluid flow. Yeah. For example, in here. Okay. So as you can see in here, there is a inlet and inlet and outlet fluid. Kan? Fluid yang masuk, fluid yang keluar. Imagine if there is a motor actually controlling this movement of the fluid. There's motor controlling this fluid. So itulah electrohydraulic actuator. They put some kinds of motor in here to control the fluid punya movement in here. Okay. So I think that's it. That's it for my sharings today. I hope you guys some benefit from my sharings, and the topic is actually very technical, but because I wanted to make it simple so that everyone can understand. And if you guys have any questions, okay, I will see the comment sections in